What's up, everybody, and welcome to Comics and Joysticks for the week of November 19th. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Anderson, and with me today we have the man of glass, Mr. Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
What's up? What's going on?
And with us, the Canadian Wonder Boy, Mr. Chris Bolt. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
Is he here? Did he freeze?
Oh my gosh, he's frozen. He's frozen in time. Chris is already gone. We've just
Come
begun,
back.
and he's
He'll come
already
back.
gone. That's a terrible thing. But Chris Bolt, I promise you, listeners, is a wonderful boy. He's from Canada. We stand on guard, all that good stuff. And with us today, we have our very special guest, Mr. Barrett from Talking Shit. What's up, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm from youtube.com/BayZonaGamers. Check it out. We have videos every day. Just
Yeah.
for you.
You're pulling off a
All
great memory
kinds
right
of
there.
good stuff. Yeah, definitely go check them out for sure.
But I just want to take a minute. The Man of Glass. Do you snort meth or something?
No,
what's with this?
So
It's
this
a fetish.
Never done
Actually,
any hard drugs.
Andrew,
I
tell
promise.
him about the fetish. Tell him about the
okay.
fetish.
Let's get some history here. This originated all the way back to the Comics and Joysticks podcast, episode 1,
I did.
where Andrew revealed his glass fetish.
He's got a
It's
glass
not
fetish.
a fetish. It's kind of like a fantasy. So I kind of want to be thrown through a glass table or a glass window, whatever I prefer, or whatever opportunity I have at the moment. Say I'm like in a fight scene or whatever, and someone kicks me through the glass, or there's a glass window. I'll position myself directly in front of that window to be able to get kicked out of it. Because
So when you guys were talking about glass fetish, what I thought that meant was like you wanted to be under a glass table and like some girls were like shaking their butts above the glass
No.
table.
No, it's the glass.
That's what I
that turns him
pictured
on.
in my
that's way
Okay.
weirder to me.
He
It's
literally
like-
wants to
it's-
get thrown through the glass pane. Like
Yeah.
we don't know if it's the pain that he likes, or the feeling of the glass shattering on his skin,
Yeah.
or if it's the.
pain. I think it
I-
might be the
from my
noise or the effect. I'm not sure.
From my estimation, it's 30% the person throwing him through the glass and 70% the glass. I feel like it's more
That's
the
a
arousal
good.
comes from
That's
the
a
glass,
pretty good
right?
estimation.
Yeah, it has less to do. Like it could be a robot throwing him through the glass. And
Oh, yeah.
it'll be fine. It's more the glass that.
Oh my
he's
goodness.
into.
Okay, if you're listening for the first time, this is not a sexual fetish talk show. No, this is a podcast where we get together every week and we talk about comic books and video games. We usually like to start out about what we've been reading, and so I say we just jump right on into it. Let's just go right down the line and
Let's do
keep it all alphabetical. So, Mr. Andrew, what have you been reading? Tell us all about it.
So last week we had the book of the month for the Comics and Joysticks Facebook group. It was
Yes, we
Spider-Man Blue.
Ooh,
And
Spider-Man.
I hadn't read it at the time, which was kind of a mistake because I finally got a chance to finish it up and read it, and
Good for you.
I can tell you right now that's one of the only comic books I've actually ever not like legitimately cried over, but
Right.
like tears.
Just admit
up.
it. Just be a fucking man and admit it that you fucking cried.
Okay.
I cried at the end of it. I totally cried at the end of it.
It definitely has the heartstrings. It's pulling the heartstrings on that in that comic. So
Yeah.
hats off to Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb. Tim Sale's art is so good, and
It's so good.
I can kind of see why Jeff Loeb is still like so involved with Marvel, not just their comics, but also like their TV side of everything and like movies too. Like he's a baller. Like Jeff Loeb he's
Yeah,
my
he
dude.
is.
So yeah,
Isn't he like the only guy who like when he was writing out, like I was saying before, I'm like repeating myself from last, but like the way he's able to write sound effects is like amazing. Like the way he's able to write the sound of that voice recorder, rewinding and fast forwarding. I was able to figure out that he was using that voice recorder before it actually showed the voice recorder, and I don't know many other writers that can write sound effects like he does.
Yeah, no, he's really good at it. And whenever I hear I don't know, like I do something, say I drop something or whatever, like I can't write out that sound effect.
Yeah,
like,
Clopunk. How do you spell that?
I can't, like, how do you spell it? I don't know, it's weird, but like, yeah, he's an extremely talented writer, probably like one of the best in the business, and he's kind of like here and there. He doesn't like do regular comics, but he definitely does like those big ones, like he has Captain America White right now. And then he did Spider-Man Blue, and he did Daredevil Yellow, and
Hulk Gray.
Hulk Gray, and then he did like Batman Long Halloween and The Dark Victory. I think that's what it's called, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Victory, and he also did Haunted Night as well.
Oh, cool. So yeah, he's a really good writer. Definitely check out Spider-Man Blue or any of his other stuff if you haven't already. And then I just caught up on all my Star Wars stuff this week. Star Wars number 12 came out, and like some big shit went down. The one thing I can say that I'm so happy about is, so there's the regular Star Wars series, then there's the Darth Vader series, and I should have realized this way before, but those are two series are like connecting with each other. They're like coinciding.
Yep.
And they just released a new book this week called Vader Down, which happens right after Episode 4, and when Luke shoots Darth Vader and he goes flying off into space or whatever. That's what happens, and he crash lands on a moon, and the rebels are there, and he just like murders like all of them. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Definitely, definitely catch up on all your Star Wars comics because they're on point right now. The one that I've talked about before, Kanan, is probably like their least.
Yeah.
Like least of my favorite. It's on the bottom of the list for me. At first it was really good, but now it's not good anymore. But if you're a fan of the TV show, you definitely like it. Star Wars Rebels. But yeah, Chewbacca's really good. Lando was really good. That was like a mini series.
Princess
Leia was super good. Mark Waid wrote that. So.
Which is out in a trade now, and it's just one book. So
nice. Yeah, I definitely need to pick that up. And there's a C-3PO series coming out, so I don't know if you guys knew that.
Chewbacca?
Wow.
Did you
It all explains how he gets the red arm.
Yeah,
which is what everybody's dying to fucking know.
Oh, that's the only reason. Force Awakens.
He was just slow jerking it for so long that he had to get a new arm.
He's just slow jerking it, he said. That's funny.
But yeah, how about you guys?
Barrett, what have you been reading, bud?
I don't read comics as often as you guys do, so in a fit of hurry, I went and read some comics before this, so I didn't sound like a total jackass.
That's awesome. Thank you for.
We appreciate that.
That's great.
So I caught up on the last two issues, the New 52 Batman, which is really the only comic book line I'm really paying attention to right now.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't caught up, Gordon is Robo Bunny Batman. He's fighting a dude named Mr. Bloom. And in these last two issues, I think, what am I on right now? The first issue I read was 45, and it was all about Gordon getting out of like this situation. Mr. Bloom is like basically a drug dealer, and his drugs give people like weird powers that don't always work out for the best. So Gordon was like fighting this entire mob of like horned devil guys, and really weird, because especially since I hadn't caught up for the last couple months, I was like, holy shit, where did we leave off in this story?
Yeah.
Right, it's hard to always like jump back in after you've taken a break, especially with a series that long. I could totally know that struggle.
Yeah, so jumping back into it was a little weird, but then I remembered like, oh, okay, this is where we're at in this story, and issue number 45 was okay. Not as in-depth as I wanted it to be, and there's still like reading both of these two issues, I realized that Scott Snyder has definitely, I don't know if it's because of DC wanting to do the whole, what was their big, was it Convergence?
Yeah.
Which apparently wasn't great.
No.
Oh, I heard it was awful.
Yeah.
And it might have been because of that. I don't feel Scott Snyder is at his best anymore, because when he started this New 52 Batman line, I feel like he really understood Batman, and every single story by itself was getting into the psyche of him and tearing him down as a character. And now this new line, just like I realized it with issue number 45, I was like, this feels really empty, and I don't feel like he really knows where to go. It's obvious that he's trying to get Bruce back into being Batman, because they keep going back to Bruce Wayne. Like it's gonna come back maybe at the end of this series, maybe not. Only time will tell. But just feels really empty, and that's I can understand that in the way because Scott Snyder understood Bruce Wayne. I don't feel like he totally understands Gordon just yet, being the role of Batman. So there's that, and Mr. Bloom is interesting. I'm excited to see more of him. They're obviously building him up to be the new Batman's version of Joker. Yeah. Especially issue number 46. Okay. It's all like they're at a gala, and he comes, or at the end of 45 and the beginning of 46, like he crashes into this gala and like starts killing all these people. Very reminiscent of the Dark Knight scene with the Joker, where they're having the fundraiser for Harvey Dent, and he's coming in and he's fucking with everybody. Very reminiscent of that, and it was that moment I was like, that's what they're trying to do with this character, and he sounds really insane, but he's fucking creepy as shit, and that's what Scott Snyder pulls off really well is sort of horror thriller aspects, and Greg Capullo's a real motherfucker, always on point with his artwork. Yeah, really shows off Mr. Bloom in a terrifying way, and I just love that guy's use of colors really pops out on the page, and that's what I was reading about an hour ago.
Cool. Yeah. All right, Mr. Chris, what do you been diving into, brother?
All right. Well, first off, I got I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. But I continue to get the Fuck Fairyland
yes.
variant.
So good.
They're the best. So for those who are not caught up, I Hate Fairyland, or the better title, Fuck Fairyland, is about a little girl who is transported to... It's an Image comic, and anybody who's familiar with Scotty Young knows he's done the Baby Marvel stuff, and he did the Rocket Raccoon series.
Yeah.
So very cartoonish, and as a little child, she's brought into this like fantasy sort of Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz-esque world, where she quickly learns that she does not want this, and she wants to go home. So they send her on a quest to basically, get out of Fairyland. She spends the next 27 years trying to get out of Fairyland, and she grows bitter and angry, and she's just done with Fairyland. So she just goes on a massacre and starts killing all the cutesy creatures in Fairyland, and it's a whole bloody affair. And it continues to be awesome. That's all I can really say about this book. Like, it's fucking hilarious. I said
spoilers. I want to know. I want to know what the gruesomest kill and with what weapon is used. Spoilers for Fairyland, but I think, is it okay? Can you share that?
It's fine.
Can you share that? Yeah, Chris, tell us the most brutal kill in this issue.
Let's see. There's a lot.
He said, let's see. What should I choose from? I love it. That's what's great about this comic series. It is just fucked up about how she just murders these fairies. It is completely over the top grotesque, at least from what I saw when I was flipping through it at the comic shop. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Front cover of the first issue, I think she's got like this giant like two-headed axe, and it's just covered in blood. It's just like...
And there's like all the little fairy characters behind her, like dead.
Yeah. It's just such an interesting concept in my eyes. Like, here you have this Fairyland, this girl who's like, I want to go there, but then she grows up and now she's stuck in her 20s because she spent 21 years in this Fairyland, and so she just goes on a murdering spree. Sounds like something I totally would do if I got stuck in Fairyland or something.
I think Chris froze again, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of just figured that out myself. So I'm going to just jump into what I've been reading.
Sure.
So I am going to break my little streak where I read one from Image and one from Marvel and one from DC. And it's because I read one issue of this series and I got completely hooked. I had to read the next. And I've been tiptoeing around this series for 10 years or so. So I picked up The Darkness by Top Cow Comics. It was first published by Top Cow in 1996, and the story is by Garth Ennis, and the art is by Mark Silverstreet. And so the art in this is a lot like Witchblade, if you guys are familiar with that. Female character, very strong, has the power of a god. It's kind of cool how it connects with that. it all kind of bases its story around one guy called Jackie. And Jackie is the son and in a family of an organized crime syndicate, the Italian mob. And, of course, there's a huge war going on between all the Italian families. And Jackie is the lead hitman. Estagato is his last name. And he basically performs a hit at the very beginning of the book. Spoilers, this is from 1996. And he's kind of chosen from this darkness, from this higher entity, or darker entity, I should say. And they decide to choose him to wield the power of something called the darkness. Now, Jackie doesn't really want this power. It's just kind of bestowed upon him. And when he realizes that he has it, though, he kind of likes it. And that's kind of why he was chosen, because this character, even though he's the main character, isn't a nice guy. He's a womanizer. He's just a dick. He kills people for a living. And it's kind of really interesting, though, because there seems to be a deeper story besides just Jackie and his story about, just taking over the mob crime families. There seems to be another war. Now, I can't say whether or not it's between heaven or hell, but it seems to be a higher story
like a
going on here.
Supernatural kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. And the reason why I decided and I got pulled towards this, because I don't know if you remember, but last gen on video game consoles on the 360 and the PS3, they released
there a Darkness video game?
Oh, yeah. There was
okay. That's why that sounds so familiar.
It was a first-person.
Yeah.
I played the first one.
Yeah, it was really good, actually.
It.
Oh, yeah, and it was made by 2K Marin, actually, The Darkness 2, which is right down the street from Barrett and I, actually.
Oh,
yeah, so very cool book. I'm only 3 issues in, so they're very, very slow about giving you bits of information, but it's just enough teaser of that overarching story I said between this dark entity and this light entity that it keeps me going. But man, when Jackie calls on the darkness, he releases these giant serpentine creatures that have little golems, and they just rip people to pieces. And it's crazy. He almost blacks out,
Is that one game where it's like a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah, and
you
have
you have tentacles or whatever. Okay, that's the game. All right, that's weird.
Sounds like a lot of Prototype.
Yeah.
Not
it was
Prototype.
like a first-person shooter, and you played as this guy named Jackie, and he was infested with this demon powers, and he had tentacles that grew out of his arm. It was pretty cool. Yeah. The one thing I remember about that game is you got an achievement for sitting and watching a movie with your girlfriend. And
yes.
I remember doing that and just sitting there for hours. No, not hours. Not hours.
Yeah.
That would be weird, right?
That would be weird.
I highly recommend it. It is definitely everything that made 90s Image, 90s Top Cow comics really cool. And I'm in love with it. I have the whole series. I'm staring at it here. They're up to almost 100 issues at this point.
Nice.
And I picked it up in at an estate sale or at a flea market. You know how I guys do it. I just buy boxes of shit.
You just buy boxes and hope you get some.
Yeah, and I actually found something good on this. So that's what we've been reading. I kind of wanted to drop a quick shell if everybody's willing to talk about it.
Sure.
Jessica Jones comes out tomorrow. Another introduction from to the superhero TV show universe. I recently just watched The Flash. I just wanted to know if you guys had any thoughts about any comic-based TV shows or movies that you guys seen lately. Are you stoked about anything like that, Andrew?
I am really disappointed with Arrow. It hasn't been good.
Wow! What a fucking surprise! Just
Arrow. I understand, but
wait, didn't you say season 4 was going good though?
Season 4
you told me last week.
Going well, but there's still all this melodrama, and I really don't give a shit about sexual tension between characters because that's not why I'm watching this show. Because the only reason I'm watching this show is to see Arrow kick ass. But
oh man, it's got bad
it's
again.
The stupid love triangle, and I'm so sick of it. And it's I understand it's on the CW, but when I'm watching The Flash
is
they
great.
never have the shit on there. It's never on there. Every now and then he'll go on a date or whatever with some girl, and it'll be oh, I like you, I like whatever, and then it's done. it's done.
Yeah.
Okay, but like
Yeah.
on the Arrow, that's like the main story or like a side story, and it's like
And
the most annoying thing ever. And I'm really disappointed that they're kind of bringing that kind of writing back to Arrow.
Well,
I think
feel
the
like
problem. Go ahead.
yeah, like I feel like on the Flash, you have like a way more likable protagonist. You
Yeah.
have someone you want to spend 22 episodes a season with, more than someone who's maybe I just don't vibe with this type of character. Maybe because I feel like it feels derivative of Batman. But
That's
I just
totally
don't,
what it is. Yeah.
But like I don't want to. I just sort of realized I don't want to spend any time with this character. I'm bored of him. Oliver Queen in that show has next to no personality. Like he's always just has that glum face, and he just looks so miserable all the time. And then he growls, and when he puts on the suit and he puts on the makeup, and it's like I don't care. Like,
I mean, this season they've tried to like give him more of like a personality. Like he's more lighthearted and he like cracks jokes here and there, but like it's nothing near compared to like his actual comic book character, who's totally like a jokester and who uses trick arrows and stuff like that, like punching bag arrows and whatever, or you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. I will say this though, like there was one episode this latest season where they had Constantine, like from the show that got canceled. Like he actually came on the show, and that was a badass episode. Like after that episode, I was like, I should probably be reading Constantine comics because he's a pretty sweet character, and like he's British and he smokes, and I don't know, he's cool.
British and he smokes. That's the reason to watch it.
We all want to be British and we all want to smoke.
That is very true.
That's funny.
But
but
I've been making my way through the Flash, and I love that show. Like
definitely.
And as someone who loves Smallville, like I like it doesn't need to be super dark and gritty for me to enjoy a superhero comic show. I like Supergirl mostly because of Melissa Benoist because she's amazing.
She's my crush.
Like seriously, like she's someone who Supergirl isn't that great of a show.
No,
it's carried by the fact that she's so likable and good in that role. Like the show would be nothing without her.
Oh no.
But yeah, the Flash just has it. It has that sort of like light thing, and then it has its sort of moments. It reminds me of how the way I felt about Smallville, and that might not be your thing, but I like it.
Yeah, Smallville at the time was just so campy, but like
it was
super enjoyable. You know, wasn't too dark, wasn't too light. Like it was.
It was one of the first of its time as well, like in the whole superhero TV genre.
Right. And Arrow,
I mean, like 10 seasons.
Yeah, and the Flash has these characters that I actually care about. Like from the start, you have like Joe, who's like, this is something I can get behind. This is a relationship,
Yeah. And it's not like the sexual tension like between like a guy and a girl. It's like like he's trying to have a relationship with a kid that was like thrown upon him, at a very young age, and like I don't know. It's cool. It's a good story.
Interesting. Yeah.
What about you, Barrett? What have you been watching? You've been seeing anything comic book related?
But before I get into like what I've been watching, I just want to say, put in my 2 cents with Arrow. I always hated the show. I always thought it's been like the second-rate wannabe Batman TV show. They've brought in fucking Deathstroke and Ra's al Ghul at one point, and it's like it's obvious what they wanted the show to be, and they just don't have the. I don't know what it is, if like it's the rights or it's because they knew Fox was going to do Gotham or whatnot. It's obviously just not what they want it to be, and from what I hear, it sounds like they're trying to use it now as a setup for the
Legends of Tomorrow.
The Legends of Tomorrow, thank you.
Yeah.
And when you use something to set up different things, it never pans out well. Biggest example is the Avengers: Age of Ultron. That movie was set up. That movie was used to set up a lot of different things, and so there was never time to focus on the story itself. So it causes it to just be muddled and
convoluted,
shitty, and yeah, exactly. So that's my 2 cents on Arrow. But now to good TV shows. My girlfriend and I have been catching up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
On that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. hype. If you're one of those people who's like, that show sucks, it's like, just get past season 1. It's okay. It's better.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I can understand if that's a lot of time to invest in. I can understand that.
Does Ward get interesting?
He does.
Ward is interesting. I feel like right now with his storyline, it feels really repetitive.
Yeah.
But these last couple of episodes have been cool, not because of him, but because of this whole Inhumans thing. There's like a monster on the loose chasing Inhumans and killing all of them. I don't want to ruin exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Because it's a really nice twist. I thought they were building it up to be something else, but then when they said, we think it's this guy, I was like, nope. No, it's not this guy that I was thinking it was anymore, because they said it's him, and he's obviously a red herring now. So when you get to that twist, it's really good. It pays off.
I like it how they kind of they didn't wait to hold on to that twist for so long, because it would have just been like such a big tease and like would have been really annoying. But
yeah, I thought this whole season was going to be built up to facing him, but they unleashed that because I feel like they could tell. I think they knew if they held it for the entire season, it would have been way too much. And I just want to talk about like sort of the episode that's not really spoilery. I can't talk right now.
It's okay.
I've been podcasting literally all day, so I'm just fucking at my wit's end. So the episode, at the end of the break, Jenna gets sucked into the weird portal thing.
Yeah.
And like the first part of this season has been about getting her back, and they got her back. And there's this episode about her time on this weird planet that she doesn't know where it is. And that episode was just fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this whole sort of spin-off episode. They like took a break from the main story plot just to focus on her, and they did it. That was a smart move by them.
Yeah.
Made me care way more about her, because ever since she came back, I was like, I really don't give a fuck. She seems really just out of it to me, and I can understand maybe what she went through. But then they showed me what she went through, and it was not. It was sort of what I expected, and it also wasn't what I expected, and it made me care about her character again. And I'm really excited to see where they go with that, because there's still some loose ends from that storyline.
Yep.
And let's see, have I been watching anything else nerdy, comic book related? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't even think any of us watch Gotham.
Well,
and that's okay.
Yeah, Gotham's fucking awful. If you try to tell me that Gotham,
it's terrible. Yeah.
If you try to tell me Gotham is a good show, you can go fuck off. But I am excited. I am excited for Jessica Jones.
Me too.
Mainly just because of Kristen Ritter.
Kristen Ritter
she can
awesome.
fucking get it. And also David Tennant, the best Doctor, who will always be the best Doctor.
I agree with
I don't
that.
care what Sean Pitts says. Sean Pitts was like, no, it's Peter Capaldi is the best Doctor.
No,
I still gotta watch it because he said this new season of Doctor Who was it's going really well. And but anyway, David Tennant is Mr. Purple. I'm really excited for that. And that's really the only reason I'm excited for this. I've never really heard of Jessica Jones.
Same
I
here.
knew she was part of the Defenders.
Well,
because I've known of that team.
Yeah. Well,
Go on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, in anticipation, I posted on the Facebook, Comics and Joysticks Facebook group. I went through Daredevil season 1 again in anticipation for this, and that show is.
It's phenomenal.
It's near perfect. I
is.
tweeted about it today. It's a near perfect show.
Like, if I could say, like, people usually rank their favorite Marvel movies, but if I could count that show, like, just as Marvel things
in there,
like,
Episode 2, that hallway fight scene is probably like one of the best Marvel fight scenes in all of the fucking fight scenes.
I watched that
including
episode again
the movies. Just episode 2, that hallway fight scene is like the greatest thing in all creation.
Can we call spoilers for Daredevil season 1?
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
Charge yours.
All right. So that you guys have all seen the full season, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Twice.
So that and I don't know. Some people didn't like it. I heard some people like question the last episode. That like fight between him and Kingpin in the alleyway was like, I don't know. I love that so much.
Yeah, I think.
And it struck out. I love how much of a baby he is. And and
Sean hates it.
Yeah, Sean hates it, and we've talked about that. And I love how much of a child he is because it shows that he's still just that scared little boy, but now he's like a kingpin.
Right. And he just has the power, but he's still a child.
Yeah, he's still just he just breaks out into these little tantrums.
Right.
But and it's so unsettling because he's this giant man, but he acts like he's a child. Yeah. And just that. And when at the end of the last episode, once he's finally seen Matt Murdock come to be Daredevil, and it's like, oh, this show, and that fight scene, and it let characters develop in a way that could never happen in the Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. Just that sort of, and my favorite villains are always the ones who you can sort of see where they're coming from.
Right.
Like Magneto's my favorite comic book villain because you can sort of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Like he sees that there's evidence that the fact that humans will not treat mutants well and test on them and stuff.
Yeah, so, he's not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, goes about it in a very sort of violent sort of way. Like he acts like the Brotherhood of Mutants. They go about things in a different way, less peaceful. But so I love that sort of like that
character
thing at
development.
The character development and how you just sort of see them, and it sort of feels like they're the two main characters, and you're just seeing like two different perspectives on two people who love Hell's Kitchen, and they want to protect it in different ways. Like the way that at the end there's like, this is my city, and Kingpin looks at him and says, "You really think you can do anything?" And yeah, so good.
You get there? You okay? You gonna be okay?
Chris is really happy. Look at that.
Chris is like, oh.
No.
All right. Well, nobody else brought it up, so I'm gonna bring it up. Walking Dead is starting to piss me off again. So bad. Oh my
really?
God.
A show that's gonna go nowhere is pissing you off?
No.
What a surprise.
To be fair, so like there's a couple of factors. I just finished Walking Dead Compendium 3. And like the ending of that was so good. So like I kind of know everything that's happening right now in the TV show pretty much, but like hear me out on this one. The first 3 episodes of this season's Walking Dead were pretty fucking good. Like they were all action-packed, they were escalating, going up, and then this event happens, right? Where I don't want to spoilers, 2 groups have to split up. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what is this group doing? And then what is this group doing? And it just turns into a bunch of filler. I mean, you had the one, episode, this is minor spoilers, but all of a sudden Morgan knows Kung Fu. He's like Donatello with his staff, like spinning around, like knocking zombies in the head. And so it goes into a whole episode of how he learned Kung Fu. He learned Kung Fu in 2 days, guys. Yeah, whatever.
No, it was way longer than that. But
whatever, dude.
He knows Kung Fu?
Yeah, it's not Kung Fu. It's not Kung Fu.
Whatever. He's just a badass with a staff.
Was it like the Matrix? It's like, I know Kung Fu.
No. It is. It is like that fast, dude. It is ridiculous. and then also, so like this last episode was just such a filler as to where Daryl went and these other people went, and it is just getting to the point where like I have this love-hate thing going on so bad, because it's like I want to love The Walking Dead because like parts of it are so good, but then there's these filler episodes which just aren't that great, and I guess every TV show has a little bit of that, but if they could just like distribute it well, like I think I would be okay with it. And I think that because the book never has any real filler, in my opinion, there's never any like every 5 pages there's like, oh god, I gotta keep reading. Like, I think that does it. I know that's really cliche to say the book's way better than the show, but I mean, damn it, I want it to be good. And you know what? I could give a fuck if Glenn's dead or not. Sorry, guys. fucks to give on Glenn.
Oh my
None.
goodness.
Well,
I don't give a fuck about Glenn. I don't give a fuck about anybody.
Yeah,
well,
you know.
the thing with that, I come down somewhere in the middle where when I'm not watching The Walking Dead, I'm very aware of its flaws.
Right.
But then once the season is over, and then I marathon it. I love The Walking Dead. I'm all sitting there. Like, it was very similar to how I felt about the Transformers movies. I would talk shit about the Transformers movies all the time. And then I would sit there and there were robots.
And you get drunk and watch them and be like, whoa, these are actually pretty good.
And then Megan Fox is walking around. And then I'd leave and then I'd talk shit about Transformers again. Right, it's a cycle. Right. I'm full of shit, guys. No, but
be on Barrett's podcast called Talking Shit. You can do some of that there.
No, the shitcast every Wednesday.
Shitcast, sorry, every Wednesday.
Okay.
Or no, every Sunday. SoundCloud.com.
I like
Zona Gamers.
The Walking Dead is great when you're not thinking about the problems with it.
Right.
Well, I think anything's good if you don't think about the problems.
I was about to say you could apply that to hamburgers and nachos. Like, these nachos would be better if they didn't have beans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But,
you know. But I digress.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I guess that's true. Yeah.
You guys know where I stand on the show. I love it. I don't care what y'all motherfuckers think. But
I know. I hate to do this to you, Andrew. It's just like
it's fine.
windy road. It's like one day I like it.
Shit on what you gotta shit on in front of me.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that makes
Andrew, we just need to tell you, you're just making poor life decisions right now.
I understand that. I understand.
It's okay.
I'm willing to make that decision.
We all make poor life decisions.
But it's not like there are some great moments.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You know what else has great moments? Fucking Star Wars.
Oh, right? Yes.
So I just kind of want to jump on into video games. Video games.
I like that little segue there.
Video games. Hey guys.
I try. So a little game came out, Star Wars Battlefront. I spent a lot of time with it. I know Andrew spent a lot of time with it because we played it together. Barrett, obviously you're a big fan. You got the PS4 console sitting behind you. Just a little, nods out of the way. So it was developed by DICE, the creators of Battlefield, definitely known for their engine they use called Frostbite, which is absolutely gorgeous. I think we could all agree that the maps in this game are drop dead gorgeous. I mean, the game looks stunning to me as far as like the environment's concerned. Character creation, not so much, but that's a different story. But I mean, it's also published by EA, the worst hated company in the world. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but
they're turning around. They're at least acknowledging it, and they're trying to turn it around, and you got to give them props for that.
Remember when they were voted worst company in America?
That's why I brought it up, yeah. I think to keep it in a structured format, we should probably just talk about what we like and then our dislikes. We should just go right down the line. So, Andrew, what do you love about Star Wars Battlefront?
So, let's just start it and start off saying that it feels like Star Wars, it sounds like Star Wars, it looks like Star Wars.
Agreed.
Everything about it is really enjoyable. Like, I turned off, and there's nothing wrong with the score. Like, John Williams' score is in the game, but, like, there's also kind of like a separate score that, like, the game developers made for the game, and then it, like, mixes in with that score. But, like, I turned off the score, and, like, now I'm hearing all the sound effects and everything, and I'm just like, is it safe to say, like, this is the best sound design I've heard in a game? Like, because I went to school for audio engineering, so it's like, I know this stuff, and, like, I've heard a lot of people's, like, different creations, and, like, all these people that I've heard in, like, the business for, like, movies, music, TV and stuff like that, but, like, when I'm just sitting there and, like, listening to all these sound effects, it's like, whoa, this is so good, and it just blows my mind. But yeah, like I said, it feels like Star Wars, sounds like Star Wars. Can't say it plays like Star Wars because we've never really... we've played Star Wars games before, but, like, nothing quite like this, I feel like. It's... there's similarities to, like, the old Battlefront games, but, like, it definitely has, like, a new feel to it. But it's so epic, and it just makes you... Like, the first 2 hours I played of the game, and, like, I still have those moments, but, like, the first 2 hours playing the game, I just had a huge smile on my face, and I was so happy, and I was like, oh, like I was running next to the walker or whatever, and I look up and I'm like, this fucking thing is like, like it's just walking right next to me and like shooting fools, and I'm just like, oh, this is so much fun, and like flying like X-wings and like A-wings and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I was like, oh, this is everything I ever wanted. But for flaws, I guess I'd say like when it comes to maps, it's kind of like not really great design. Some of the maps, like some of the smaller maps, like the design's not like anything to like write home about. But I mean, with like Walker Assault and stuff like that, which is like the biggest, like one of the biggest game modes, it's definitely intense and like really open, and there's a lot going on and a lot of places to take cover and kind of hide or get the high ground and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just like there's some missteps when it comes to like design. And I mean, I will say this, but like some of the game modes just feel really similar to each other, which isn't like, it's not god awful, but it's like, okay, there definitely could have been some more creativity to like the game modes. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't really want to go into it too deep, but just kind of, yeah, a lot of it feels similar, but I feel like there's enough there to like keep my attention for like a while, like like I'll get my $60 worth out of the game, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, I have some other things that I need to like be playing too, but like for right now, like my focus is on Star Wars, and
cool.
Yeah, so I really enjoy it.
All right, Barrett, what do you like and dislike about Star Wars Battlefront?
So what I like about the game, like Andrew was saying, sound is really good. The score, I actually enjoy the score. I think it fits well into the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars sort of presentation.
So do I.
But it's not John Williams, so it is going to be shedding that like sort of light of it's good, but you're not John Williams. So it's always going to have a bad connotation, I guess. The voice acting for all of the main characters are fucking awful.
Oh yeah, I definitely forgot
They're
about
awful.
that.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I was talking on another show about this. Like Han sounds like if I got drunk on Halloween, dressed up as Han Solo, and tried to do the Han Solo voice.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, like they spent all of this money, using like original props and like scanning them and trying to put them in the game. Like they used all that money for that, and I personally think it's money well spent to make the game look as beautiful as it does. But they couldn't have spent a few more bucks on
a voiceover,
better voice actors, or just take literally like just the same lines, because it's not like they're making new lines or anything. They're saying quotes from the movies, so they have a deal with Disney. Couldn't they have just taken dialogue from the movies and put them in the game? I don't know. I'm not a sound major guy over here like Andrew.
Sorry.
But, so
yeah, definitely it would have been easier. That probably would have been easier.
When it comes to gameplay, it's fun. Definitely makes me feel like a stormtrooper when I'm a stormtrooper. Makes me feel like a rebel. The game modes, I do like Supremacy, because I feel like Supremacy is an homage to the first two Battlefront games, because the main like mode that I would play at least was you have a big map and here's like 4 different points and you have to take over this. Yeah, Conquest. There you go.
Yeah. It is the version of Conquest. Supremacy is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But the difference here, it's more of like a tug of war. In Conquest, you could take over different points at the same time. In Supremacy, it's more of like a tug of war where you can only take over one point at a time, and you have to progress just like at one point at a time. So I do like that mode. Walker Assault, I think, is still very one-sided. Not losing as much in the beta as the Rebels, but there's still just like the Empire does have a ground advantage when it comes to machines and vehicles.
Like ATSTs and
yeah,
ATATs,
so yeah, and then Blast is really fun because the core gameplay is very chaotic, and Blast is just sort of your basic team deathmatch sort of game. So I think that works with that mode. And then Heroes versus Villains is just really fun because you're guaranteed to play as one of the main characters.
I always love that.
It's my favorite mode.
So that's what I like about the game. Now we're going to go into a lot of the dislikes I have about the game.
Oh man, I'm glad you're not gonna. I was gonna poop all over it too, so I'm glad you're doing it first.
So, there's a lot of game modes. A little too many game modes. Like Andrew, you're saying, like some of them are sort of similar. Some of them straight up just don't work with the gameplay. The gameplay itself is very chaotic. So when you have some of these game modes, like Droid Run or the Hero Hunt, these objectives don't feel like they work in such like a chaotic game-to-game sort of style. Just like trying to take over points or collect cargo or whatever. It just feels like there's, I don't know, they don't fit
like
in well.
Too much going on.
Yeah, that's what it is. And with some of the modes, it works. Supremacy, it definitely works. I was just playing it this morning, and we had like the game I was in. We were having like a really good back and forth, and it seemed very leveled. And there's a lot of thought, like tactical thought, being put into the people I was playing with. I don't see that as much with some of the other modes. And I feel like they could have scrapped a good portion of these modes to focus on a story. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like Colin Moriarty from Kinda Funny was saying that he was watching Greg play it, and it just hurt him inside that all of these maps are very beautiful, and some of them are very well designed. Some of them are really, really bad, but they still look beautiful, and it feels like such a waste that we have these beautiful maps and they're not being put to a Star Wars story. Right. And Battlefront was never about the story. People complained like, "Where's the story mode?" It's like, do you guys fucking remember the story in Battlefront 1? Guess what? There was no story. And then in 2, it was all about the 501st thing, and there's hardly a story. It was like, there's story in between these matches.
There was like a narrator.
It was all the really in the story campaign mode. All they really are just regular conquest battles. So, like, people bitch and complain, but to be honest, I think they should have tried to at least invest into a story. Because I don't know if I'm getting my $60 worth here. Yeah. When you take out Sean Pitts said over on the Shitcast when he was a guest, when you take out the story mode, you're just turning this game into a competitive shooter. Right. And for me, that feels a little empty. And after like 10 hours of playing this game, like I'm starting to feel empty. Fatigue. I'm feeling fatigue, and I'm not going to turn in the game. I still love the game. Right. It's definitely a Game of the Year contender. Probably won't win, but it's a contender. It's something to consider because it's Star Wars. We're all in that Star Wars hype, and that's what I have to say about it. Right. I would say if you haven't bought it yet, don't buy it yet. Buy it down the line when there aren't as many chaotic players and it's more just like a hardcore group who know how to play the game and aren't just dicking around, and when it's cheaper. The only reason I got it was because I had like a day one PlayStation 4 and I figured it was probably time to get rid of that because it was getting a little it was getting a little old, and I decided to treat myself and get the Star Wars PS4. Mainly just because for the PS4 itself, not really because of the game. So that was just an added perk, I guess. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Battlefront.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump in and start about the negatives first. Andrew and Chris know that I can rip shit apart, and I really have to kind of. Yeah, I did it to Fallout, and I hate to look at like the negatives, but if I spend $60 on something, I'm gonna kind of pick it apart. And when you really think about like this Star Wars game, okay, let's look at facts. I can give you actual numbers here. In Star Wars Battlefront, we only play on 4 different planets, right? You have Tatooine, you have the forest moon of Endor, Hoth, and then was that one that starts with a J?
Raku?
Yeah, thank you.
No, that's
No.
the one that we have right now is Solus.
Solus, sorry. Anyway, so there's 4 planets. There's 4 planets, right? And then on those planets, there are only 13 maps, and there's 9 different game modes. So you're looking at 4 planets, 13 maps, and 9 different game modes. And like we kind of discussed in what like Andrew and Barrett you said, some of those game modes actually aren't that great. Like that droid run is just I'm like trying to play that. It's not very much fun. The sky combat, it's not very much fun. And honestly, like when I really like look at the gameplay, like looking at that, the multiplayer side of it, even though it's awesome, right? You have these huge 20-on-20 battles. It is a pretty throwback shooter. I mean, you can't even go prone in it. There's only 11 blasters that you can even unlock. There's absolutely no customization whatsoever to those blasters. You buy a blaster, and that's it. And guess what? The blasters, they don't really like feel all that different. Like some of them are a little bit obviously for like longer range for your snipers. Some of them have a faster fire rate. But when it all comes down to it, those blasters aren't really all that different from each other. And coming from a developer like DICE, who usually like makes Battlefield, who can like usually allow you to just do all kinds of attachments and upgrades for your weapons and your loadouts, like it kind of feels pretty bare bones. I mean, are you guys with me with this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that's not necessary. For some people, that's okay. But if you're coming out and you're saying, hey, our game's only multiplayer and we want it to be competitive, I think that there's a lot more competitive first-person shooters out there. I hate to say it, like Call of Duty or other ones out there that kind of do a better job at giving you a lot more options, let's just say. So that goes kind of 2 ways, though. I know some people say they just want a simplistic shooter to go in there and have a good time with, and I think that is what the multiplayer side does well. Like, any 5 people can get together and have a fucking blast playing Star Wars because, you know what, it doesn't take that much skill. But all I'm saying is that if you're like EA and DICE and you're like, hey, this is once again a competitive first-person shooter multiplayer game and that's all we're offering you, you better bring the heat and give me all kinds of different things. Is 13 maps a lot for the very beginning of a launch game? Yes. Usually you get, what, between 10 and 12? So I'm not on that. But usually you get like a campaign too. And with this, there was none. And I know DICE isn't usually known for their campaigns, but at the same time, I could have wanted more. What's up?
Yeah, well, when the game was coming out, and it was announced that it was being made by DICE, a lot of people were concerned and saying that, oh, it's just going to be Battlefield with a Star Wars skin. And then there's the opposite of the fact that shooters have changed since Battlefront 2 came out. So what is the middle ground here between having a satisfying sort of successor to the Battlefront games and having a Star Wars shooter with deep systems?
Yeah, I mean,
like, what's the middle? What's the sort of middle ground here that we can arrive at and be satisfied?
I have no idea. I would have definitely liked to have a single player campaign. I know that we're gonna get that with the creator of The Last of Us, Amy, what's her name?
Amy Hennig with Visceral.
And so eventually that's going to come out, but I kind of really feel like they cash cowed this one. And I was also going to say, too, like, they didn't give us a lot of the characters that I was hoping and that was going to be in the game, and this is all, like, we want you to buy extra stuff to get all that, right? We don't have Chewbacca, we don't have Yoda, we don't have all these other main characters that you would think that would just be standard stock for Star Wars in the game. They're just not there, and they're going to be hidden behind DLC or Season Pass or whatever it is that they decide to go with. But one thing I will say I actually did like about the multiplayer, and I don't know how you feel about it, I'm not that great at Twitch first-person shooters anymore. So I can respect the fact that I can go in there and still go positive on my kills, but my kill streaks are never all that great. And what they really do a good job is making every player get the chance to be a badass. Because they have these little pickups all around on the maps that enable you to jump into the vehicles, like the AT-ATs or AT-ATs, whatever you want to call them, and the AT-SDs, and all the, the TIE fighters and whatnot. It gives everyone a chance to feel like a badass for a short period of time. So that system I really do like. So I think they hit and miss on both. One thing also it does fun is it's just fun. I mean, Andrew, how much fun did we have that the other night when we were playing like heroes versus villains, and it was like a 4-4, and we were all tied up, and then on that last match we ended up drawing like 2 or 3 times, and then we finally pulled through in the end. We were yelling into the mics like, "Oh my God!"
It was a blast.
It was so much fun, but I just don't know how much more time. I'm kind of with you, Barrett, on this. Like 10 hours, 12 hours. I've already spent 2 days playing it, and I'm kind of already like, do I want to go back to Fallout, or do I want to keep playing this? Because Fallout's kind of calling me over here, and I kind of want to play that again more. I don't know. I don't know how much longer I'm going to play this game.
Yeah, there are definitely flaws. I do believe it's very bare bones. The middle ground between Battlefield and a successor to Battlefront, it wasn't this, and they really tried to stick more on the Battlefront side of things, and they made it very minimalistic, very bare bones, like you were saying. They should have at least added some customization,
right?
And because that's what we've grown to expect. Like, yeah, we're excited for a new Battlefront. Not only because we love those games, but to see what they could do with it and what they could do to change what that series is. And I feel like they were too scared to make any crazy jumps with the series. So, but it's a learning curve. We're gonna get a Battlefront sequel by EA. They talked about that a little bit, I think like a week, or maybe it was like the day before Battlefront came out, and they talked about that. And so I think there will definitely be a campaign in the sequel to this Battlefront, because I think this was more of a combination of a cash cow and also proving themselves to Disney, because they announced that like they had this 10-year deal with Disney like the day before Battlefront came out. So I think in those like last few weeks, I think Disney like finally said like, hey, like because of like what you guys have done with this game, we will finally, sign a contract for you for the next X years or whatever. So this Battlefront game is much like Watch Dogs, where this could have been way better, but I'm really excited for what the second one will be.
That's interesting, because I'm curious. This is a completely different topic, but just touching on the maybe this generation's, and we had a bit of it last gen, whereas like the next one will be good, and it's very and it feels deliberate at a certain point.
Does it feel like lazy to you?
It feels like Watch Dogs is a good example of like expecting less of giant AAA developers than we should. Like Garrett said, like as a huge fan of the original Battlefront games, when you pay $60 and in Canada $80,
that's a lot of money, man.
Come on, Canada, step up your game and get that dollar amount higher.
Oh, our dollar shit. But like, there needs to be a sort of accountability, and that bothers me. Like this trend that exists, where we don't, these people who have like these giant budgets for games are sort of in this like, oh, we'll get it with the second one sort of thing. The thing that happened with Assassin's Creed sort of started that. The like first one was and then 2 was great, so we created this sort of expectation.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
But over to sort of Star Wars related, not Battlefront though. I am very excited for this Amy Hennig visceral game, and that's where we'll get our story, our Star Wars fill, and our Star Wars need. And I just want to put this out there. I keep speculating because Visceral is very famous for their Dead Space series. I want this to be a first-person horror shooter Star Wars.
Oh man, that'd be dope.
I'm just gonna say it because I think, especially with the first Dead Space, I think they did it really well. And
that game was scary as hell. Oh my god.
Two was okay. 2 was just more of one, and then 3 was total shit. But they do it well, and Amy Hennig knows what she's doing when it comes to writing. So I feel like those two minds together could make something really great for this series. And bringing it back to Battlefront, sort of not related to what I was just talking about. My last point that I want to make of Battlefront, I'm not that big of a fan of being able to switch between first person and third person. I think you have to commit to one or the other. They obviously included third person because of paying homage to the original 2 games, but you get much more of an advantage when playing third person. I started out for first person for the first couple hours, and I was doing okay. I was doing like my usual first person shooter, competitive shooter self. But then I switched to third person. I'm kicking ass. I'm getting like 20.
Same here.
20 kills, 5 deaths each match, and like I can understand like why they did it, but I feel like that wasn't something they really test focused because I don't think they got, or at least if they did test that out, and their feedback might just not have been solid because there is definitely a huge advantage being in third person, and that like anybody who tries to play first person in that game, I'm just gonna tell you right now, you're fucked.
Yeah,
like, that's all I'm gonna say.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm also not a big fan. There was one other thing I forgot to mention when I was harping on it, is that card system. I feel like, what's up with the card system this year? Is it the year of the card system? I feel like this, and what I mean by that is like you're able to choose perks, right? You spend your experience points on these perk system, like these middle cards, but you don't get an unlimited amount of them. They end up getting used up, and you pick them up all over the map, but you can also purchase more, and it's weird. I'm not really a big fan of this weird card system that seems to be in a lot of games.
I actually really like this one.
Really? Yeah. See, I don't have. I guess it's a personal preference thing. It just seems to be a big trend. I can think I feel like it all started with Mass Effect 3's multiplayer using these like cards, and now it's just like almost like in a lot of different games.
So you're talking about the cards, and then you're talking about like the power-ups that are on like the battlefield.
No, so like there are these. So you have your 2 main cards. There's 3 cards in a hand, right?
Yeah.
You have your main, and then you have like a special, whether it be like a blaster or a rocket launcher or what have you.
Yeah.
But then there's also a middle card, which gives you these like power ups. Like there's one called Focus Fire, which allows you to like basically drill on a target. But you only get a finite amount of those. It's not unlimited. When you first buy it, you start out with 25. Now you can find ones around the battlefield, but if you want more, you can just buy them.
Yeah.
So
wait,
like
so you have to repurchase, like if I get the jump pack, I have to repurchase it at one point?
No, you can find what they're called charges around the battlefield, but they're kind of like the pickups around the battlefield, right? Like you're not just going to run across them. It's not like you're going to find 3 every match. You may be lucky to find 1 on like a bigger game type like Walker Assault or
Supremacy.
And so Supremacy, and thank you. And so considering that, like if you were just like, I could just spend some more money, you could just constantly use those, and some of them are slight advantages. Like that Focus Fire one is ridiculous. It like literally jumps your accuracy up to like 99%. So if I was just like a whale, they say, like in the the industry of just somebody who's just going to spend microtransaction to death, I could just use it constantly. And so I just felt that was kind of weird. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff, but to each their own. On the cards. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's all I really feel about Star Wars. I really do like it. I don't want to sound like echoing, but yeah, it does look absolutely gorgeous, and you guys are all right. It definitely feels like Star Wars to me. It sounds like Star Wars, and if anything, it's just gotten me hype for The Force Awakens. So I think they did release it at a perfect time, considering the comics are doing so good, and the movie is just right around the corner. So
marketing.
Yeah, I mean they nailed it. Chris, did you want to talk some Fallout 4?
I do want to talk some Fallout
4. Let's talk some fucking Fallout 4, man.
Tell me about the Fallout 4s, Chris.
Okay, so I'm going to paint you a picture. Chris's character, Emma Kendrick, she's descendant. Hey, no. So yeah, Emma Kendrick is wandering the wasteland, and she's just outside of Diamond City, and she gets into a scuff with a super mutant, and then it's like, everything chips her down. Emma Kendrick's gonna die, but she's saved in the last minute by a flaming mole rat that comes and starts attacking a super mutant and just kills it really easily. And it's not even called it was just this mole rat was just on fire, killed the super mutant, and then went back underground. Fallout 4.
How far are you in your luck category?
Not very far. My charisma is at max. I always max out my charisma because I love just the conversation, just being able to get what I want in conversations. But yeah, I love this game. I feel like I like this. I'm enjoying this in the moment more than I was with Fallout 3.
Fallout 3 is a terrible game.
What?
Yeah, I think it's one of the worst games.
Fight.
What? I don't know what to say about that. Worst games.
I never played Fallout 3, so you guys can fight all you want. I'm not gonna do anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's a whole nother discussion. I don't know if it's the worst game ever.
It's not one of the worst games ever, but that is a bad game. I'm gonna say it right here.
No.
Bethesda does well in that game is really well of a lot of the options and the effects, like some of the choices that you make are really crazy, and they do that well. But the story is bullshit.
Well, the story in most Bethesda games are bullshit.
Yeah, we covered. This is 45-minute topic last week.
Dishonored is
and then even people complain about the graphics of Fallout 3. The graphics are fine, but color-wise and environmentally, that game does not look well. The color palette for that game was just shit green. Everything just looks like a really...
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
And then VATS, VATS was really boring. It was overpowered as well you freeze time, and you could literally just go up and take a piss and then come back to it and then really take the time and maybe I want to shoot him here. No, let me think about this for 5 minutes. It felt really overpowered. Right. And then if you didn't like VATS like I did, you have to shoot from the hip. There was no aim down, and it was fucking awful. You didn't feel like you were doing any sort of damage in that territory. So I don't think mechanically that is a good game. But Fallout 4...
What do you like about Fallout 4? Are you on the opposite end of the spectrum with it, or...
Fallout 4 is an amazing game. And I wasn't one who overhyped it. I've talked about this a lot before, but a lot of people overhyped Fallout 4. They thought it was the second coming of Christ, and that's what I wasn't wanting. I was just hoping, because I really wanted to get in the Fallout universe. It's really interesting to me. I'm a huge fan of Mad Max, and this is obviously like a sort of child of Mad Max in a way. And I have always wanted to be invested in it, but the gameplay mechanics and nothing was appealing to me. So Fallout 4 just improved on everything that I wanted. I wanted better gunplay outside of VATS. I wanted VATS to pick up the pace a little bit, and they did that. They didn't freeze time. It slows you down, and it actually makes you think tactically, but in a fast-paced way. And the story is phenomenal. I don't want to spoil anything. I've beaten the game. I've beaten the main quest, but I lost my save.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so let me tell you a little story. Let me paint you a picture here. So I have a 2 terabyte hard drive in my old PS4.
Right.
So I'm playing through Fallout, and I'm going to sell my PS4 soon. And I have everything updated, like the 3.11 software update for my new hard drive. So I was like, all right, I'll be fine. When I put my hard drive into this new PS4, I'll be able to jump back in. So I didn't do any fucking cloud saves. So I took the 2 terabyte hard drive out, put the old hard drive back in and sold it to the person I sold it to. And then when I got this PS4, I put the 2 terabyte hard drive in and then said, we need to reconfigure this hard drive. And I was like, fuck, please tell me I'll still have my stuff on here. And then when we started the PlayStation 4 up, everything was deleted. So I was really close to the end of the game. I know the big twist. I know the big decision you have to make, and I was about to make that big decision, and now I have to restart all from the beginning. So, yeah. But how far are you guys? Because I do want to talk about some of the story, because that's what I'm really enjoying. So just tell me how far you guys are.
Well, since I've been doing
the audience, Fallout 4 spoilers.
Okay. Yep.
I'm actually not very far. I literally just got out of Lexington, so I haven't even made it to Diamond City yet.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I literally, I got freaking stalled by Star Wars and started playing that for 48 hours straight. You know what I mean? So,
I just dealt with Kellogg.
Okay. All right.
Kellogg Rice, the Frosted Flakes Kellogg's. What do you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my, Tony the Tiger's in this game.
Yes.
Product placement in Fallout 4.
So, Andrew, have you played Fallout 4 at all?
Just a second. Can you guys hear my roommate blasting music?
No.
No, you
okay,
sound
thank
fine.
God, because he's playing Adele right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, last week Barrett, you're gonna be really disappointed in me. I sold Fallout 4.
I'm really disappointed in you.
I traded it in. Well,
Please don't tell me you traded it in for Battlefront.
No.
Nope.
I exchanged
for another
it for Black Ops 3. And y'all.
For listeners,
you're stressing me out right now.
Listen, you gotta understand. Okay, like
he's disgusted. Oh,
I know. Like I knew the second I was gonna tell him, he'd be like, "Oh, you're so."
He looks really disappointed.
I put 20 hours into the game in 2 days, and I enjoyed it for what it is, but it's like it was too much. It was like too much to like handle. And like I had never played Fallout 3, and
that's fair.
According to you, Barrett, it wasn't very good. So I'm kind of glad I didn't play Fallout 3. But I played Oblivion, I played Skyrim. I put 30 hours into both those games before I just borrowed those. No, I had Skyrim, but like I got stuck somewhere and was like, fuck this. But like with Oblivion, I played like 30 hours, and it was my friend's game, and I had to give it back. So I had a great time with both those games. But with Fallout, it was just like, and the thing was, I wasn't like forced to like build a settlement or do any of these things, but like I just didn't think like the story was very good. Like okay, spoilers, who's ever listening to this, but like your son gets taken, and it's like
that's the plot. Yeah,
like there's no urgency, there's no like, oh, I have to go save him. It's like all these little side quests on the way to it, and it's like,
but again, like,
if someone stole my fucking child, I'd be like, okay, these motherfuckers are gonna die. Like
here's the thing, and we talked about this last week, and I want to get it across. It's a thing. It's not it's an RPG thing. It's an open world RPG thing. Yeah. Same thing with Mass Effect. Same thing when you have something that's supposed to be urgent, but you can just do whatever you want at your leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of just comes with the territory of having an open world RPG that it's not exactly going to make sense.
It's true. And I guess I shouldn't be so like down on that, because I kind of should expect that when it comes to RPGs, because I'm actually a really big fan of RPGs. I really love JRPGs. I love real-time strategy RPGs like Pokemon and like Fire Emblem. That's probably my favorite RPG of all time. Or strategy game, whatever you really want to call it. It's both. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, I put 20 hours into it in 2 days, and that's pretty impressive. It was my weekend when I played it. But I guess it was just like too much, and I kind of was like, I just don't know if I'm ever gonna like be able to beat this. And I guess I don't know what you guys think, and I don't know if it's fair enough, but it's like,
No,
we have all these other things coming out, and I knew Battlefront was coming out, and I knew I wanted to, I'm obviously way bigger of a Star Wars fan than I am Fallout, you know?
Oh, yeah,
You know what? It's an old saying. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly,
I mean,
and that's exactly, but I'm not shitting on that game whatsoever.
Right.
It's like what we talked about last week. Like, people can like different things, and like we were talking about, the hype for Fallout 4 was at a max. Like, people talking about it.
But here's the thing: I think the hype for the game was just like way overrated. Like Barrett said, everyone thought it was the second coming of Christ, and it's like, is it though? Like,
people really had to temper their hype for it, because I was really just expecting it to be a sort of better version of Fallout 3, and that's what it was, and all of these people thought it was going to change video games forever.
And like we talked about last week, like, when it gets to a point where people are like, hey, is there something wrong with me that I don't like Fallout 4? And it's like, no, stop getting caught up in this sort of...
they were in the hype. They got it because like everyone else was getting it.
Caught up in this culture that is telling you that if everybody doesn't love the same thing, that you are weird or wrong.
That you're fucking dumb.
Yeah. It's like, if you want to play Call of Duty, or you want to play Battlefront, or you want to play Tomb Raider instead of Fallout, that you're weird. You're not weird.
No.
You're just a person with, that's
different
how humans
work.
With opinions. Yeah. But the one thing I will have to say, if you don't like Donkey Kong 64, you're wrong, and you need to get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck right off.
But no, I do understand your experience with Fallout 4. I've heard the same stories with a couple of other people, and that's completely fine. I guess it was just like the right time for me to get into Fallout 4 and see these improvements that Bethesda has. I honestly, whenever anybody says like the main story doesn't pull at them, I honestly don't understand it, because the story in Fallout 3 was, hey, Liam Neeson's your dad. Hey, he left the vault.
Like, I was talking about it last week. This is the best Bethesda story easily. Like, the fact that they made it personal and they didn't repeat the exact same. So, oh, you're gotta grow up in the vault, and like, it actually made it personal to you. Was really cool. And the fact that you have a voice for the first time, it made you feel like you weren't just an avatar. Well, it makes you feel like you're not just an avatar, and gives you like a personality and like a character.
Yeah.
You know?
And because the whole premise of Fallout 3 is Liam Neeson left the vault, everybody's coming to kill you, so you have to leave the vault too. And I never understood that. Like, okay, my dad left the vault, who gives a shit? I didn't do anything. And so you're sort of forced into this world, and with a lot of stuff that already doesn't make sense. And then a lot of Fallout 3, like when you leave the vault, is, hey, your dad might be here. Oh, he's not here. Hey, he might be over here. Oh, he's not here. Hey, he might be over here. Oh, he's here. And it's going to get really weird after this point.
Is Liam Neeson really your dad?
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. I'm just gonna say.
But then for Fallout 4, they make it personal. Of like, spoilers for the fucking first 10 minutes of the game. Your wife gets shot in front of you, and someone kidnaps her baby.
Or your husband.
Or your husband, whichever gender you
husband.
And so I'm very surprised when people say that story doesn't grab them, because they're fucking with your territory, and you don't really care like that. I don't know, and that's just, again, to each his own.
It wasn't. It wasn't so much the story that bugged me. It was just like the sense of urgency. That's all.
No, I'm with you too, Andrew. But
I do feel like the sense of like the personal nature of the story. Like, when I'm going to find someone, my character is just like telling people to just fuck off, and they're gonna like beat the shit out of them if she doesn't tell them where her son is.
Oh, wow, you're really aggressive.
Yeah, she just like doesn't take any out. She's just sarcastic with everyone she's questioning. She doesn't care. Gotta find her son.
100% charisma is really
and I think you also you can't overlook the fact that like Fallout 4 is mini games in just one game. Like, everything is a game in Fallout 4. I mean, you could even play old school freaking games on your Pip-Boy or at terminals, and then you have the whole weird Minecraft side of things about the crafting, and then, like you said, like, you know what I like doing? I like making mods on my weapons. I will sit for like 30 minutes and like find the best mod for that gun, because for some reason I like doing that shit. I'm also a pack rat guys seen the comic books. I like just collecting stuff and scrapping stuff and then making other stuff with that stuff. And so like there's a bazillion things you could just do in Fallout. So regardless of like the main story, I think what like that like I value is kind of like the thing that Star Wars Battlefront doesn't have, and that is quantity. And it is still really good quality in the same way.
A lot of quantity.
Yeah, I mean it's huge and it still delivers on like we'll just say a decent story and a massive open world. But yeah, I think that's my favorite thing about Fallout 4 is it is huge. Bethesda gives you every penny that you paid for that game is worth, like you could honestly ask like $100 in my opinion for a Fallout game, and that would not be overpriced in my opinion because of how big it is.
Yeah, and the thing about Fallout 4 is it's actually a plus that the story is as good as it is, because I think most people were going into this expecting main story is going to be a Bethesda story, it's going to be dumb, it's going to abruptly end, and whatever. But so far, I'm loving the story. But the thing about Fallout that's so great is exploration. Like you're just meeting people. You're doing like these quests. Barrett, did you do the quest for what is it? The guy who does the radio show, and you've got
I did, and you helped build his confidence.
Yeah, and
yeah, that was a really great moment.
Yeah, that's the part of these games that I love so much. Is just these weird little offbeat like quests that are just
stories, and that's why I think like Fallout one day, or if it wasn't already a video game series, I think it could do really well as a TV show or a movie. Probably a TV show, because I imagine it like a lot like Supernatural, where you have your big overarching story, but then every couple of episodes you have like your little side thing where they're like helping some random person, and that's something I also enjoy. Is like, yeah, I need to like find my kid, but oh my god, I really care about you guys because you could also help me in a way. So let's see what you guys need to do. And because there are really good characters in this game, I'm just gonna say, I know Garrett, you haven't played this far, but I'll just say right now, Nick Valentine is the best character.
He's my companion.
He is the best character, and I don't think, like, when I met him and I was helping him out with his stuff, and he opened up to me, like, after I helped him out.
Yeah.
When he opened up to me, I was like, that moment, I was like, holy shit, I care about a Fallout character. Holy shit, I really like this game. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people say, like, what is your big Fallout moment? That's one of them. The other one, I won't really. I'm going to dance around this a little bit. Usually in a Fallout game, you have to make a big decision at one point. And the way I played this game and the way I built it up, and the big decision, if you play it the way I did, is painful to make. And that was my Fallout moment, where it's like, holy shit, I can see both sides to this argument, and I don't know what to do, and I lost my save file before I can make the big decision, so I'm still like thinking about when I get back to that moment, like what I'm gonna do. But
yeah,
that was my big Fallout moment. And that's when I realized, like, this game is phenomenal, especially, and that's why I think the story is great, especially if you play it the way I did, of how cinematic it is and how this character would build up some certain things and then realize I might have to tear it down. And it's such a great character story. And that's why I really love Fallout 4. I have nothing else to say. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's good to go on the rant and everything. But it is running a little long, so I think we are going to be wrapping it up here. I think it's time to plug some shit. And I think it's just fair to let Barrett go first. Hey, promote. Tell us about you. Where can we find you? Where can we follow you? Where can you tweet? All that good stuff.
Give us the lowdown.
I'm the host and creator of Bayazona Gamers. You can find us on youtube.com/Bayazona Gamers. That's where we primarily work from. We have videos every single weekday. We have like a review show, we have a topic-based show, and then we do Let's Plays every Friday if you want to check that out. We're also on SoundCloud. Just look us up, Bayazona Gamers on SoundCloud. And we have a podcast called The Shitcast, goes up every Sunday, where we talk about games we've been playing, talk about the nerdy news, and then you get some of our YouTube content early. And let's see, what else? You can find me on Twitter at Banandlerchong, that's BANANDLER CHONG. I tweet about stuff and whatnot, and then yeah, that's where you can find me. So yeah, there you go.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
We
and
really
I love your guys' podcasts and all your Let's Plays, and you guys are doing the God's work over there, brother.
Thank you so much. That does mean a lot because we're putting a lot of work into it.
Yeah, you are. You have high quality production stuff. I mean, with like just the intro music and just everything.
I actually totally felt like a lot of this production stuff we fell ass backwards into. Like I found that intro music on a newer version of iTunes, or not iTunes, but iMovie, and ever since I found that music, I lost that version of iMovie, but I was able to save that music file. So I've saved that, and a big shout out to our tech guy Seven Morris, who provides a lot of the equipment that we have. He is a professional at what he does. He's he does contract work with podcasting and all that stuff. So he lets us use all of the equipment that he normally doesn't use. So big shout out to him, because he helps us with so much stuff when he doesn't have to, and I could not appreciate that more. If he wasn't a factor, our show would probably not be nearly as good looking as it does now. And if you want to know a little bit more about me, just find me there and all that good stuff. I'm trying to get into the game coverage business, so if you need to hire somebody, let me know.
Awesome. Andrew, brother man.
What's up? What's going on?
Where can all the ladies find your beautiful face?
You can find me on Twitter at Papa Drew Bear. I tweet shit. I talk shit sometimes.
Hey, no, that's what we do.
Whoa, okay.
There's enough shit for everybody to talk about it. Okay, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've kind of decided I'm gonna make this a weekly thing, but I'm gonna start Twitch streaming every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time to 5 p.m. Central Time. Just do it 1 hour a week, just chat and hang out. Today I did one, and I played Battlefront, and I talked about Star Wars, and a couple of people came in and talked about Star Wars with me, and it was pretty fun. But yeah, I'm going to PSX, me and Barrett, and kind of funny people. We're all gonna roll over PSX like a holy fire.
Find us at PSX with Alex O'Neill. We'll sign your babies, and we'll sign your feet and all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll be throwing business cards everywhere. So it's December 5th through the 6th. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to plug. Oh yeah, come join the Comics and Joysticks Facebook group. Where we talk about video games and comics, obviously. But yeah, we're doing the book of the month, and this month it is
Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, and you can find that on Amazon.com, probably for pretty cheap.
Or if you have Marvel Unlimited.
That too.
There.
I don't have that. Anyways,
Chris, bastard.
I know, right? Fucker.
Where can we find you, Chris?
All right. Easiest way is come find me on Twitter at @ThatBoltGuy. Kind of what I think when I'm not around. People say, "Hey, who's that guy?" Oh, that Bolt guy.
That Bolt guy.
That Bolt guy.
I can dig it.
You can find me at all the things. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and everywhere from GFunk707. That's GFUNK707. I'm going to echo what Andrew said. Join the Comics and Joysticks Facebook group. You can find the Comics and Joysticks podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your other cool podcast resource places. And I want to give a shout out to Sean Donahue. He couldn't be here today. Thank you for editing this. We miss you. We love you. Get your friends' parents out of your house so you can come back here and hang out with us.
And also, Sean would like to let everybody know to read Tokyo Ghost 3. It's the best book to ever to come out in ages. So read Tokyo Ghost.
It's really good. Tokyo
I haven't read
Ghost
3, but I've read first 2, and my gosh.
I'm just waiting for the volume.
Rick Remeter is doing the Lord's work.
Oh,
yeah, he is.
Before we go really quick, I just want to say, just because we were talking about these two games on the show, we have Let's Plays of Fallout 4, and probably by the time you're listening to this or watching this, of Star Wars Battlefront.
Nice.
All right.
In that Let's Play, actually, of Battlefront, you kept requesting to join me in a party, Garrett. I was like, no, man, I'm busy. I'm doing a Let's Play, man.
That's because I think all of us were actually in that. Sean was with us, Andrew was with us, and we were like, it's Barrett. We got to get Barrett in here.
No, I was doing my own thing.
No, I hear you. No worries. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Comics and Joysticks, episode 11 for November 19th, 2015. We love your ear holes. That's why we fill them. Have a great evening, everybody. Peace out.